Right, hello ladies and gents. This was to have been a different video. It's supposed to have been a shmups video for all the shmuppers amongst you, but I have a few coming in the post, so I thought I would postpone that one and instead do my science fiction reads, which is long overdue. I actually read 3. Normally it's only 2, but yeah, 3 today. I'm going to do Planet Buyer by Cordwainer Smith, followed by Tale Zero by Poul Anderson, and finally Android's Dream of Electric Sheep by the famous Philip K. Dick. Right, yeah, I'll start with The Planet Buyer now. I read this about 3 weeks ago, so details might be a bit sketchy. The action takes place on a planet called Australia, which is inhabited by more or less farmers and rural people who originated many moons ago from Earth. Australia comes from, it's like a contraction of North Australia, where a lot of these people came from. Now, Australia is notable because it's the only planet in the universe that produces stroon, which is an immortality drug. And of course, you would think that would make them rich, but it doesn't, because they're heavily taxed, the people, so they continue to live this sort of rural life with not much money at all. Now, our hero is Rod McBan. Has a very long name, but that's his name, Rod McBan. Now, people on Australia are telepathic, but he is not, or he hasn't got the full capacity for it. And it starts off with him being tried, more or less, because he's, thought to be a weirdo. And he's found innocent, but he's told that one of his old friends, who's high up in the government, is still after him. Now, he survives one attempt on his life and retires to this cave where he has a supercomputer. Now, computers are banned on Australia, as I remember, and he uses the computer to do a lot of stock market shenanigans involving the stroon. And, well, cut a long story short, it ends up with him being super rich and the owner of the planet Earth. That's the Planet Buyer of the title. And the rest of the book more or less involves him travelling back to Earth with a few companions and trying to survive attempts on his life so that bounty hunters and ne'er-do-wells can claim his title as the owner of Earth. That's as I remember it anyway, or the salient points. Now, my impressions of the book, it was interesting. Lots of interesting ideas. I heard a lot of good things about Cordwainer Smith, and I never read anything of his before. And this is a companion book to a book called In Australia, apparently, which I might get around to reading one day. I haven't got a copy. Yeah, I mean, it was written in a very strange style, I found. Slightly jerky style. And it got a bit confused in places, but overall, I found it to be reasonably entertaining. The idea of a planet living poor when when they've got all the riches in the world was a very interesting notion, and the idea of actually buying Earth was very amusing, I found. But I wouldn't put it in the upper echelon of science fiction books that I've read, but it's certainly on a scale of 1 to 10 as usual, with 5 being average. I'll give it a 6. It wasn't great, but it wasn't average either. So that's where I stood with the Planet Buyer. Right, now the next one. By the way, that was nominated for a Hugo Award in 1965, I believe it was. So it's quite an old book. Right, now the next book I tackled was Tau Zero by Poul Anderson. Now I've never read any Poul Anderson, strangely. That's what I'm doing with these reads. I'm trying to find authors that I've never read. And Poul Anderson is a well-established, well-liked author in the SF field. This one, for the life of me, I can't remember the. Yes, there he is, Raymond. I'll have to remember that later. Basically, this is about a colony ship travelling to a nearby star. I forget. I think the mission's to get there is about 5 years, and obviously the aim is to colonise this planet they've found. And the first sort of third or so of the book is getting to know the characters. The main character being this Raymond fella he's called Constable, but he's a kind of a security stroke troubleshooter sort of guy on the ship. Anyway, the ship doesn't have faster than light drive, but it is very, very fast, and it relies on something called tau. I mean, the science in the book I just couldn't follow. It was hard science in that respect, but soft science when dealing with the travellers, the space people on the ship. Anyway, when we get to know all the characters, the characters are quite well defined. The ship hits a problem. It runs through this nebula or something, and its ability to decelerate is taken away. It's destroyed. Now that means that when they get to the planet, the star planet they're going to, they won't be able to decelerate in time because they haven't got time to repair it. So what they decide to do is go faster and faster to try and to give them a better chance of finding somewhere else. Now, this is the interesting part of the story. This ability to go faster and faster relies on this tau characteristic, and so I didn't understand the science, so that was completely beyond me. But yeah, they're going faster and faster and faster, and time dilation is involved, of course. And I mean, by the time they get so far into the trip, the Earth is millions of years old. Everybody's long gone, so they've got no connection with Earth. And the dilemma they've got is that they can't get to where they're going, and they can't get back to where they came from. So the ship goes faster and faster, and he deals with all the characters, how they react to the fact that they can't virtually do anything about it. And eventually the universe gets older and older, and the ending of the book is quite a surprise, and that's as far as I'll take it. I really enjoyed this book. It irritated me in places because the science was indecipherable to me, and it kind of broke up the good parts of the book, which was the characterization and the actual plot. So that was a bit annoying to me, but overall it was a terrific read. I'm sorry that I've never read any of his stuff before. The dilemma, that the characters face was foremost in the plot towards, in the second half of the book. And it was just a thoroughly involving and well written book. It's probably the best book I've read for many a year, actually. I liked it that much. And again, this was nominated for a Hugo Award in 1971, as I remember. Should have won. In my opinion, should have won hands down, but I'm not normally into hard science. But it wasn't all hard science, it was just broken up with this scientific explanations which just went straight over my head. But I would recommend that book to anybody. I thought it was great. And the book I've just finished, I saw this on my shelf and thought, it's time I read this. I love the film that followed it. The film is obviously based on this. So you have an Earth that is sort of turned to rubble, basically, by the Third Atomic War, and a lot of the buildings have gone, but there are some, left, and a lot of the populace has moved off planet to Mars, places like this, where they employ androids to do all the dirty work. Now, into this comes Rick Deckard, the bounty hunter, Blade Runner, if you like, and six or eight, I think it's to start with, androids. They're called Andes in this, although they're called replicants in the film. And of course, Deckard gets, I think it's 1,000 credits or whatever, or dollars, I can't remember, for taking them out, for each one. Now, society has lost most of its animals, and people who can't afford an animal, which are very, very expensive, they just have mechanical animals. I think Rick has a mechanical sheep. The guy next door's got a horse that he claims is a real horse, and Rick's very jealous of this, and he wants an animal. And he sees the killing of the Andes, as they're called, the androids, the Andes, as a way to achieve his ambition. That's the basic plot. I won't tell you any more because it obviously would be spoilers. There again, like Town Zero, I really like this book. I love the film. And the book differs greatly from the film. There are elements, you've got the Voight-Kampff test for the androids. You've got Rachel, who I presume it's a horrible cover, that. I don't know what this business is around here. But you can see the building that starts the film off. There are similarities. You have one of the androids is Roy Batty, but it's spelt with one T, weirdly. And yeah, there were a couple of things in the book that I didn't care for. I found were a bit far-fetched. But overall, I've read about four or five Dick books now, and I would say this is certainly the best. I mean, it's very straightforward as a narrative, whereas a lot of his books are very sort of all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I've got to say I'm a big fan of the book and a big fan of the film. This hasn't, sort of changed my opinion or anything, and the film hasn't changed my opinion of this, because they both stand alone as excellent pieces of work. So yeah, I mean, I'm pleased I got round to reading that one. There again, I would recommend it to you if you haven't read it. So yeah, that was my little reading session for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I don't read very quickly these days, but yeah, I mean, 3 books that I quite enjoyed. I missed the scoring on Tau Zero. I would give it 10. I would, but because of the annoyance of the scientific bits, I'm going to give it 9.5. I don't normally give odd halves, but yeah, 9.5 for Tau Zero. And because there are a couple of things that annoyed me in there, I'll give it a 9. I was hovering between a 9 and a 10, but yeah, I'm going to give that one a 9. So there you have it. Not much more to say. Next time I should be doing the shmup video that I'd intended. So yeah, as usual, thank you for watching and subscribing. Please comment a bit more. I'd like your comments on these 3 particular books if you have read them. And yeah, I will, as usual, I will see you next time. Bye bye now.